This week on the Seller Community Podcast, brought to you by List Perfectly, let's talk about PoshFest 2023. Doug and I are going to discuss the parties, an overview, the networking, the takeaways, and much, much more. Oh, and the LP sponsorship.
That's right. I like that you started with the parties, Trish.
Hey, we all have our things, Doug,
There's things we do well.
the things we do well. And I love a good party, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do. And PoshFest was fun. I love that it was in
What's
San
fun?
Diego.
San
Uh,
Diego was cool. I'd been there once, but only for like a day. So it was cool. Beautiful resort. It was kind of like mid-century modern. It was pretty big place. It had all these different buildings and it had a couple of pools. The place was pretty cool. Had a really good vibe.
yeah, and it was good. We had a lot of good exposure. We saw some friends. We made some new friends. We saw some eBay people. So
Susie Eads was there. That's always awesome. So it was a great time. Yeah, we saw people we knew. Doug and I, we're a little eBay centric. So I think it's great when we get to meet new people, and especially people from different platforms. It was good.
all right. Well, then let's get into it.
All righty.
Let me just say, Trish, you look lovely today. You've got your fancy outfit on for this PoshFest episode.
You know what is funny is I have a PoshFest 2019 t-shirt that I desperately looked for, but I couldn't find
All
it.
right. Well, I hope you like my little black XL cocktail dress that I'm wearing.
It's beautiful.
Thank you
You
so
looking
much.
great.
I've always thought I look good in sequins.
You do. They're definitely your thing.
I want to get one of those Jaworski. Is that the jewels? Sawarski or Jaworski?
Sawaski. Sawa
Sawarski? Oh,
Sawa now I can't say it right. Sawaski.
Sawarski. Oh, that I'm sorry. Jaworski is a filmmaker.
I was gonna say, we're both saying it a little wrong. I mean,
I'm
I
gonna
see
go-
most things wrong because of my accent, but you really messed it up.
Well, for Poshfest next year, I'll get the Sawarski Slims that Kim Kardashian has put out. So
Okay, awesome.
I will look good, but be slimmer as well.
Doug always looks good in a man girdle.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So Trish, PoshFest 2023. This was what, your third PoshFest?
My third PoshFest.
All right. So how did it compare overall to others?
Okay, so that's an interesting thing. So the first PoshFest I went was pre-pandemic.
Hmm.
It was huge. It was at the Phoenix Convention Center, and I asked one of the girls who works for Posh how many people were there because I was trying to gauge,
Yeah.
and she said she thought about 2,500. It
Okay.
was enormous, and there was lots of different things going on all the time. Big, huge rooms full of people. And then last year we went to PoshFest. Doug and I and the List Perfectly team went to PoshFest, and there was only about 250 people there.
Yeah.
So much different, much smaller. And this year, I think she said 800.
Hmm. All
Yeah.
right.
So it was under 1,000. She's hoping to be at 1,200 next year. It was fun. I thought the outside space, they had an outside space, like all with like different little vignettes that you could take photos with. That place was really cool. I thought the food was pretty good. We had a booth and we were mobbed all the time.
Yeah.
Of course, we give out swag like it's our job. So, people always want to come over and see what we have.
That's right.
Um, but it was great. What did you think, Doug?
I thought that, yeah, I thought it was, so it's my second PoshFest. I enjoyed last year's. I thought this was definitely a step up. I thought it was bigger in a lot of ways. And, understandably, last year, everybody was easing back into things, after like you said, the pandemic.
Yeah.
I thought this was bigger. It's very interesting to, see it from a main sponsor perspective. We definitely got a lot of exposure, a lot of attention. But what I really like too is, obviously it's a very Poshmark audience. And so
Yes.
people were familiar with List Perfectly. There were a lot of people we knew, we saw a lot of friends, a lot of eBay people, a lot of crossover people. I even had some friends that were there that I found out after the fact that they were there. And they're like, you
And
were
you
there? I
didn't
was
see
like,
them?
yeah. It's like, you didn't see the giant blue booth? It is interesting what you
So
say.
that's
They're
funny.
definitely
I thought it was for everybody. I thought it was just a game changer for me, in my perspective anyways.
yeah, no, I think, we know and we say this all the time. A lot of Poshmarkers wanna go over to eBay, a lot of
Right.
eBayers wanna go to Poshmark, and I think we've really done that. I mean, you look at somebody like Susie Eads,
Exactly.
who is eBay queen, and she was on
Exactly.
eBay. Now she's on Poshmark. She's attended, 2 Poshfests in a row. And
Right.
then you look at somebody like our friend Erica, who works at Poshmark.
Yep.
She's using LP to cross post. And
Right.
then, of course, Tiffy Pie, Sarah Boink, they are obviously very Poshmark oriented, and they've expanded to eBay and multiple platforms. And I think too, uh, the platforms are realizing, a modern seller is
Exactly.
gonna sell across multiple platforms. You have to.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's exactly it in a nutshell. The platforms are really open to this. This is just the way it is now. You're going to sell on multiple platforms. And so, they have kind of welcomed that instead of pushing against it. And
Yeah,
I really respect Poshmark for doing that. They were great to us. They were great to work with. Manish, their CEO, was very kind to us. He came over and took photos and
yeah,
everything. I thought that, we were welcomed and what we do is welcomed. And so they know what we do. You know
yeah,
what I mean? They know people are cross posting. They know people are using this service for that. I also thought that Poshmark did a really great job at, um, kind of making the days easy. Everything had a really good flow. The
yeah,
place where you were was easy to get to. You could just leave. It was a nice atmosphere. You didn't feel like, oh crap, I got to run here. Oh crap, I got to run there. It was an easy flow. Sometimes, conventions can be a little bit daunting, and this one I felt, was a pretty good flow.
yeah, and it was cool, and, it was nice. I always like to have everything there in case you have to run up to the room to get something or take a break,
Exactly. Yep.
change outfits. But
Yep.
this was nice too because there were a couple restaurant options there that were decent, and, the setup was really good because it's a hotel and convention center.
Right. Yep.
Um, and, based on something you said, earlier is like Poshmark is very into community, but that was among the things that they emphasize, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but I wanna get a quick perspective from you because you planned all this logistically, you laid all this out, so, give us that perspective planning this and, upping it from a group of us attending to being a main sponsor.
What's interesting about that is they were very great to work with. Poshmark was exceedingly easy to work with. They wanted to, they gave us options. We got to decide what we wanted. Clara really wanted um, to work with Poshmark, and I think that they exceeded her expectations. So that's always great when you have a partner that really, delivers. And it was very easy, and they went out of their way to be accommodating and anything that they could do. And so logistically, having everything at the same place does make things easier. You
Yeah,
can get things there. So that was great. Logistically, it is an easier thing when you're all in the same space. Whereas if you're gonna be off site, like Boss, you have to worry about getting stuff to Las Vegas, but then you have to get it from your hotel. You still have to get it to the place where you're gonna have the setup. So this way, you're just getting it to the one area. It was great.
yeah,
It really was. They made it very easy.
okay, alright. And again, we'll cover this, but, anything you learned or anything that stood out from you there during your week?
For a long time, it was really kind of like focused on just kind of selling what you had and, buying new clothes and reposhing and kind of that. And now I think that they have switched their focus a little. And, I am always trying to find a place for my, used clothes that is easy to work with. But I run a mastermind class every morning, and everyone in my class, if you're a used clothing seller, like Poshmark is 30 to 50% of their business right now.
Wow. Yeah, and and I like what they're doing again in terms of community and pushing Posh Lives, pushing, Posh and Sips, all those type of things.
Yep.
And I definitely agree with you is like again, just looking at it from a List Perfectly perspective, a lot of people we talked to that came up were using List Perfectly or familiar with it. And then again, cross posting to multiple platforms. And I think Poshmark is really a bigger blip on the radar. But
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the stuff they announced. So
Okay.
PoshFest 2023, obviously, they want to get everybody together. They want to get everybody together in community. But always part of this is the marketplace making some new announcements, telling you what's coming. Trying to get you riled up for what's coming. So Manish Chandra, the CEO, he always does his State of the Posh Union. So he
Yep.
talked about some of their new innovations, and he talked a lot about empowering the community, empowering the Posh community. That's the kind of thing they want to do, and I feel like they have to do that to compete with some of the other platforms with what's coming up.
Yeah, agreed. And what's always been interesting to me about Posh is in 2019, he gave a speech, and this has stuck with me since then,
Yeah,
that he wanted it to be a democratic um, app, meaning the more time and effort you put in, the higher up you go. So like that's
very
why
cool.
sharing, so it's not so much based algorithm based. I mean, you do search things and things have parameters, but then the people that get up at the top of search are the people who are sharing the most, being in the app the most, sending the most, offers, things like that. So that always stuck with me that
Yeah,
they try to make it an even playing field. And
yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah. No, that is definitely interesting, and they're open to hearing from the community.
Yep.
Um, and again, they talked about that a lot. They had the hackathon, which is like some of the poshers I talked
Yeah.
to were super excited about it, and they gave a sneak peek into some of the new features that are coming soon. So basically, last year we saw that they laid the groundwork. Posh Lives had
Right.
just
They
started up;
just
they were
announced
still
those
very
when we were
new,
there. Yep.
and our buddies Tiffy Pie and
Mhm.
Sarah were
There's
invited.
one.
They were the
Yep.
first two, and
Yep.
so now they're really upping it with Posh Party Live, which is going to be, I guess, like a supercharged Posh show with parties and just really upping that live experience and connecting, expanding networks, driving traffic to your closet. And they're saying the next evolution of Posh parties is going to be tested in the U.S. and Canada, and these Posh parties are going to be going on every week.
Well, and you just said something that didn't get announced at Posh Fest, but got announced the week after because you said going to be announced in Canada and the US. So those are going to be the only Posh marketplaces. They're getting rid of Australia, Britain, Great Britain, and India. Um,
Well,
so
since you brought it up, I
yes.
mean, the elephant in the room, and they announced that after, and people freaked out. It's like they're
Oh,
not
I
going
don't blame
to.
them. Who wants to? And what does it matter? I don't mean that rudely, but what does it matter? It's not affecting us here. And
Yeah,
not that, and I'm not an isolationist. I think these things are connected.
that's
But what I mean is as a business model, I understand making the US and Canada as good and as robust as it can be before you spread out. Sometimes we spread out too fast
yeah,
and this isn't working. And so I appreciate that they're going to look at it and try to make that as robust as possible.
yeah, and yeah, they're narrowing the focus, and I think
Yeah,
that they have looked at what's working where, and they're going to
exactly.
focus on U.S. and Canada. And again, if you're a US seller, is like that's probably something to be excited about, probably a
Exactly.
bummer for some of the other sellers in some of the areas that are shutting down.
Well,
But
here's the thing. If you're in England and it's shutting down, there's going to be an app or a platform that's going to take its place. And eBay has a very robust, international sites. It has ebay.eu, it has eBay, so There'll always be some place to sell your wares.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and like in Australia, eBay's the number one by far
Yeah,
marketplace.
by far, yeah.
So then they also talked about, which had been rolled out of a bit, but in beta, promoted closet. So promoted closet beta, they really pushed that. And I think there's still a waiting list to
Yeah, so
sign up
that
for that.
I had mentioned, Mastermind. I have a couple people in Mastermind who do that already, who are
Nice.
opt into the beta, and, Crystal Muse, I think that's how you say her last name. She is one of them, and, and Posh is like 40% of her business. So just the way
Nice.
bigger sellers or just sellers in general use eBay's promotions, this is a way for you to, kind of pay for play a little. And I think if you're a seller who is full time and this is your business, these are things that we think about and that we put money into. And so I'm glad that they're doing it.
Yeah, and it's super cool. It's like, we are we are eBayers, so we know promoted listings. I think it's a good idea if you want to
Yep.
do that extra, get that extra boost. And they said that beta sellers using promoted closet have seen an average of 80% increase in total
I
listing.
know that's crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy. So they've got that wait list. And actually, there's a great blog post that they put out that will link in the show notes that goes over all this. But let's go over, Trish, the
Yeah.
coming soon list.
Okay. Please
Uh,
tell me.
Gift cards. You can give the gift of Poshmark just in time for the holidays, Trish.
Doug, Doug, don't tell anyone, but that's what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
See, there's content and there's marketing, and that's marketing. Marketing content. So, you can send and receive Poshmark gift cards to make gifting and purchasing your next favorite find even easier. That's a cool idea. Does eBay do anything like that?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
there's eBay gift cards. There's been eBay gift cards for
Oh,
a
yeah.
very long time. You can buy them at CVS. I mean, I've bought multiple ones at CVS. Um, eBay has gift cards, yeah.
Oh, because I used to go to when I would see the eBay gift cards, I'd cover all the other gift cards with eBay cards when I worked there.
And you haven't worked there for how long?
It's been several years at this
You know what
point,
I
believe
mean?
it
So
or not.
they've been out for a long time.
You'd think everybody's like, "We know you used to work at eBay." So this is interesting.
Okay.
Multi-label shipping. You can split bundled orders by purchasing standard shipping labels.
I'm very happy about that. One of the things that Posh does very well, in my opinion, is this ability to bundle things and offer people a better price for taking multiple things out of your closet or your store.
Yeah.
But once you hit the 5 pound mark, it became difficult to ship it. So I am very happy with that. That's a great because there are a lot of times where you need to buy extra postage, and up until then you just had to buy it, and it's not really. So I'm very happy with that. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Splitting bundled orders in a more cost-effective way to ship multiple packages, allowing sellers to purchase additional standard shipping labels.
It's good.
Like if I need another 5-pound sweater
Correct.
for
You can
sweater weather.
sweater weather.
Um,
Sweater weather.
no, that is cool. And I think that's something that that sellers have been wanting for a
Oh
bit.
yeah, definitely. Yep.
And, it just goes, something like that is them, listening to the community and bringing that back around.
Yes.
And then, Trish, that I'm
What
a
do I
big
know, Doug?
fan of metrics and analytics.
Yeah,
And
I
like
know.
I always say, those numbers are there.
Please look
Look
at
at that. Please look at them. They're very interesting if that's what it is. And then you do more of what's working and less of what's not working.
Well, and that's another thing about like the bigger sellers. The bigger
Yeah.
sellers are usually driven by these numbers. And it was hard to pull out information out of Posh because they didn't really offer this stuff. And as for the normal everyday casual seller, yeah, it probably doesn't matter because you're reselling things you owned, you already own them, you're going to try it. But when you're buying things directly to resell, this is a good tool to have. And I'm very happy about it. I think this has been something that people have been wanting for a while.
So the new thing they're launching, it's called the host summary report. And it's when you do a post show, You'll be able to see a summary of your show performance with a list of key metrics, viewership, engagement, and sales. So
Yeah,
again,
that's awesome.
just, you're going to see what's working, who's watching you, be able to
So
measure your growth.
so then you're gonna be like when Doug does a show with Sarah Boynton, she can be like, "Yep, this is when everyone left when
Yeah,
Doug showed up."
exactly. When he's like, "Here's how I would wear this jumper.
Exactly.
See, I was cooking and dancing while I'm cooking." Okay,
Oh,
so this is super interesting. These next two are gonna sound interesting. So
okay.
auto listing, you can take a picture of an item and auto generate listing details. What?
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 I am really interested to see how well this works.
Well, because List Perfectly is doing that now. Did you know
I
that
know,
too?
and ours is fan freaking tastic. So,
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how, Posh's does.
And is like, I'm gonna say it, is like, yeah, we love Poshmark, but we want you to list on List Perfectly and use ours. But this is cool. I mean, this is the way things are going. AI's got, eBay's got AI integration now for listing. You're going to see it across the board.
Yeah, well, I'm just and from using different, things, and I know from using different products that some are really good and some are, you know so
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how good it does.
See what they've got. And
Yeah.
then they're doing a closet redesign, an updated look and feel to improve the shopper experience.
Okay, I hope my only when I first started Posh, they don't people don't really do this as much anymore, but you used to, like, want your stuff in a certain order, so
Mm.
you would have to share in a certain order, so, like, it would be, like, all your skirts, and then you'd have, like, a thing that said skirts, and then you'd share all your tops, and you'd have a thing that said tops. I am hoping that maybe the closets can be segmented a little bit more than they are now, but, hey, things change. I love a good I love change. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, what are they gonna do? We'll screw everything up." I don't feel like that. I wanna see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think and I honestly, I think they are, they're known for clothing. I think that's going to, and they're expanding. I think they should, but I think, they're gonna stick with clothing. They know clothing. I mean, it's a closet. You can put other things in a closet, but
Well,
usually,
and exactly. But they also do, you can sell lots of things on Posh. They've opened it up over the last few years. They've opened it up. They have home goods, they have electronics, they have different things. Of course, I think their bread and butter is clothes and probably always
yeah.
will be.
So
But we'll
yeah,
see.
God knows what's in my closet.
Exactly.
Um,
I have so many jokes and I just didn't even say it. All I could think of was Alfred Hitchcock.
yeah, there you go.
Like
Mother, what did
mother.
you do? So, yeah, a lot of big things coming. Very interesting. Obviously, they're consolidating their marketplaces. They did, and people freaked out about this too. They changed the logo.
I know. They went from radiated logo to a solid one and people lost their minds. I didn't get it. I mean,
What's it mean?
it means nothing. It
What are they
means
trying to say here?
it means it's easier to have a solid one than a gradated one. You have to always worry that everybody's doing correctly.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because we've always been tight with Posh, Mark. We've done stuff with them before. We've got a great relationship with them. It's one of the marketplaces that we communicate with regularly. We were happy to be sponsors. We're going to continue to have a great relationship with them, and we always want to stick with compliance.
Yeah.
Not use bots, things like that. But just keeping up that good relationship. So what
We
do you think?
are a terms of service kind of company. We
Right.
want everything we do with any platform keeps you within terms of service. We are we respect the terms of service. So we really try to always stay. And as a company, and for me personally, account health, account health on any of the platforms. The
Yeah.
worst thing you can do is have your account taken away, whether it's Posh, eBay, Depop, any of them. So for me, I always stress staying within the terms of service.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you don't wanna push those limits. You don't wanna lose your account. And also, it's what I always say, stop trying to cheat the algorithm. It doesn't help anybody. Your little workarounds, your little cheats, it's not helping anybody because an algorithm takes what's put into it. And if you're
Right.
trying to do weird little, "Oh, do this and this," is like, it's gonna screw us all, Trish.
Right, exactly.
Alright, so PoshFest 2024, we have no idea where it's gonna be.
No, they did not announce.
I would imagine we'd be there again.
I Yeah, I mean, this year was great. I hope we go
Yeah,
again.
and I think it's gonna be like you had said, I think it's gonna be bigger and better. It's growing each year. They do need to watch out for the displays though, because people were tripping
Oh,
over that big display. It
they
was
had a
I
display
hate it.
they had a display that was, like, outside of the doors, and it had this bottom lip that was kinda, like, out further, and people would come out of the door and go, like, right to go down the hall to go to the ladies' room or the men's room, and man, oh man, there were quite a few spills.
You just hear the thump and you turn around and
I
look.
mean, yeah.
So,
That needed to be worked on.
like one safety piece.
Yeah, we needed a safety cone or something.
And then, I wanna get your perspective too. So what do you see for what's the Trish view on the horizon for Poshmark?
I think Poshmark will continue to embrace the professional sellers. They're starting to implement things that sellers need, the analytics, the extra labels, things like that. And I think that that will continue.
I agree, and I really think and there are some friends and some people I know that disagree with me, but I really think that, live selling is the future. I think it's gonna continue to grow.
Yeah.
Poshmark has really leaned into it. I mean, they're growing Posh parties, growing Posh lives. You've got Whatnot, you've got TikToks coming along with TikTok shops.
Yeah. They're everywhere
Mhm.
now. If you look at
Everywhere
TikTok,
now.
it's like 2 videos, TikTok shop, two
That's
videos, TikTok
right.
shop.
Yeah, exactly. They're really pushing it.
They're really
And,
pushing it.
frankly, they've got it. They do have a little bit of work to do with that, but the idea is great. I think they don't understand resell. No offense, TikTok. I think they don't understand the reselling market right now. I think
Agreed.
they need to get some sellers on their teams.
Agreed.
Um, and I wonder about that with Whatnot too, because some sellers are still a little leery of Whatnot. And then eBay Lives is slowly but surely coming along. They're rolling, as is typical eBay, rolling it out slowly, category by category. I know they've got some internal people that really want to see that move faster. And I always say this. I think that it's interesting because it's that combination of selling, entertainment, and community and a marketplace. And I do think live selling is the future, and I think it's going to continue to get more pervasive. But I also totally agree it's not for every seller. Not every seller is going to want to show their face. Some of them just show their hands or do voiceovers, but some of them don't want to do it at all, and it's a whole different segment. I think it's very funny because those of us that know, a lot of people will be like, "Whatnot's like QVC."
I know.
Well, I guess QVC is still around, but some
They're
people
still
are
around. They're still around, but I'm sure the demographic is skewed up.
you're like late at night, "I
Yeah,
do need those pans
I
and those
do
knives."
need that. I mean, my dad, I can't even tell you, when he retired, one year, all this food kept showing up. Meatballs, meatballs, steak, whatever, and I was like, "Where is this stuff coming from?" He liked this guy, his name was David, and it was, like, called, like, In the Kitchen with David or something
Oh,
on QVC, and he would stuff. I'm like, "Dad, stop buying the meatballs." I mean, so I do think that there is a certain hey, you are right. Now that you say that, I suppose QVC and HSN were live selling in the 80s and the 90s, and they still doing it now to a certain extent, but they were huge because it and people would call and they would talk to the people. I
yeah,
guess it is kind of the same thing. I
home
never
shop yeah,
really
HSN is Home Shopping Network.
yes,
They'd be
yes,
like,
yes, it
"We've
is.
got Trish from Boston on the line. Hey, Trish, how are you?
I love those meatballs.
But wait, there's more. We'll throw in some frozen spaghetti and a nonstick pan."
exactly. So, yeah, I have not embraced the live selling. I don't know, maybe I will. I just feel like what I sell isn't really live selling worthy. Um, but we'll see.
And I'll tell you, it's like again, I think it's got to be a certain type of person. You have to have a certain type of personality for it. But what's super interesting is the different ways people do it. You'll
I
see
know.
some people that'll be like, "All right, I got this pen. I'm going to start bidding." And then other people are like, "I've got this pen," and there's music and
Yeah,
lights
yeah,
background, or
yeah,
they've got split screen stuff going on.
yep,
That is, besides the stories, Trish, that is
yeah,
what's always so interesting to me about social media content and the seller community is you'll get sellers that will go somewhere and they will make something their own. Like I
yep,
remember Renzi talking about how they were selling shoes via Facebook Lives back before any of this happened. And
yep.
it all started out, they were doing a live and somebody was like, "What's up with those shoes behind you?" And
I
they're like,
would like those.
"I can sell those to you."
Okay, you can have them. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're right about that, and I also think, like, there's always going to be different places for different sellers, and I can't see regular selling ever going away. There's always gonna be search-driven selling,
yeah.
um, because you need it right now, and I'm not gonna wait to see if Doug's gonna show up with what I want in a day or 2. I need, I want those blue trousers now for work or whatever it is. So, for me, I think so the live selling's an interesting part, so we'll see how that goes.
And, the other thing too is like you look at something like even Instagram, there are still a lot of t-shirt sellers that's
Yeah,
where they sell. They
still a
do
big
an
deal.
Instagram
Yep,
live and it's like, DM me for
I know, and you know what else is big on Instagram is, like, the gem community, like, people who do rocks and stuff, they do I know, what?
Gem the Rockstar cartoon girl, Gem the holograms.
No, not that.
Oh, oh. Gems like rare stones,
No, like stagnites and quartz and
stalagmites.
stalagmites, stagnites, you know what I meant. Shut up. I'm tired. I need
This
some
crys
coffee.
this crystal will help you sleep better. This is a love crystal. You rub this crystal and
You
you're the object of your
sorry. I am
affection.
sorry I mentioned it.
I know what crystals are.
Okay.
I knew a girl named Crystal.
I know a couple.
Nice girl. All right. But to sum it up, PoshFest 2023, we had fun.
We did.
List Perfectly sponsored. We had a great booth that was crazy the whole time. A lot of great exposure.
Yeah,
And actually,
and the party at the end was
that was fun.
sponsored by us, and we had our own signature drink, and we had, a step and repeat with our name on it and Poshmark. It was great. We had a really good time.
It was nice. It was a little loud for me.
Because 'cause you're an
And it
old
was
man
late.
now.
It was
You're
late
an
at night.
you're an old man now.
Trish and I found a bar downstairs though that had that cool neon sign that said beer is life.
No, beer is love, didn't it? Or beer is life?
Maybe. Beer's
I have
Life
a
Love.
picture of it. I will put it up so everyone
We'll
can see
put
it.
the picture up. It'll be yeah, we'll include it in the show notes. But, again, PoshFest is always fun. I'm a fan. I'd love to go again next year for anybody that's listening. I'm a big fan of what Poshmark is doing. Obviously, I love community-oriented stuff. I love, like, the cutting edge stuff. I love that they're leaning into this and really leaning into Posh Lives and just, again, leaning into the community, including the community, listening to the community. Because it's cool too that, a CEO is like Manish is hanging out with people, walking around, like,
Agreed, completely. Just
taking pictures,
exactly.
taking the
Yep.
time to listen. Not all CEOs do that, and,
Nope.
you know
I agree with you completely. He was very approachable. All of them were, all of the senior execs. But he in particular was very approachable, very nice, wanted to listen, wanted to help. He was very responsive to the people that were there. I thought he was great. He did a great job.
and his security team were very well dressed. They look like the girls from Robert Palmer's Addicted to Love video with the black dresses.
Okay, I am pretty sure she is not his security team. She's a
Oh,
lovely girl. She works for
well,
him though, but you're right. She was right there with him the whole time, made sure everything was going right. I mean, she was great.
I walked up to say hello to him, and she karate chopped me in the neck.
She did, because you are a sketchy looking character.
And she went, "Hiya, judo, judo."
Out of your mind. You were out of your mind.
All right. Well, All right. Well, Trish, this was fun. Always fun chatting with you. Thank you for sharing your ruminations on PoshFest 2023.
Least I could do for you, Doug, the least I could do.
And we will, yeah, we'll post all this. And we would love, when we post this in the Facebook group or on the socials, we'd love for you to weigh in. Any PoshFest memories, anything like that.
Put
Um,
some photos up, we'd love to
Yeah,
see
put some
some.
photos. We do
Yeah,
love photos, so share all that with us. And then, it was disappointing though when I checked in. Trish helped check me in, and it was like the lady at the oh, you're in the Marco Polo suite. And I'm like, thank you so much. And Trish
this
right
is
away was like,
funny.
wait a minute, and
I
then
was like, "No, no, no." So we walk over to his room, and it is a suite. It's
my
got like a
palatial
big,
estate.
huge living room. It has a dining room, has a kitchen, a bathroom. Then you walk in, there's a bedroom, a bathroom, and I go, "Do not put your bags in
That's
this
not
room."
anything. I was already in bed under the covers.
He's like, "What? I was like, "No, no, no. We're going back to the front desk." I'm like, "I did not order this. How much is this room?" And good thing we went back. The room was like $600 a night. I got verklempt just even thinking about it. I was like, "Dougie, I love you. You're not sleeping here."
Obviously a mistake, but my room was lovely. I love the theme of the hotel, very
Yeah, it was
uh
cute.
mid-century, I guess you'd say. And I
Yeah.
loved all the photos out and about. They looked like Smith/Morrissey album covers, so I took a bunch of photos there.
They were like so for people who don't know what that means, they were like 1950s and 60s, like beachy. They had like, lots of like odd bodybuilding and then like surfers and it was cute, all black and white, most of
Yeah,
them very good. It was a really a cute hotel. Even though I wouldn't let Doug stay in the Marco Polo room
that's right. And I had said, "Trish, if you need me, just say Marco."
because he can't resist a dad pun, I tell you.
Thank you so much. All right, Trish.
All right, Doug.
I will talk to you next time.
Doug, it's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure as well, Trish. Patricia, thank you.